Talk a Lot with Tokalat is an entertainment and educational cannabis positive podcast recorded in a medicinally and recreationally legal state. If you choose to consume, please do so safely and within your state's laws and regulations. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talk a Lot with Tokalat. I am your hostess with the mostest that always gets the stonedest, Terry Tokalat. If you're new here, welcome. I know I've been on a hiatus, but otherwise I cover all things cannabis, societal issues, true crime, conspiracy theories, pop culture, and more. If you like those things and want a stoner's POV, then I'm your girl. It's been a while since my last podcast episode, for good reason, I promise. I have been insanely busy with helping down at Higher Intentions and recording content for that as well. So if you miss my obnoxious ass and you want to see me a little bit more, you can always check out the Higher Intentions podcast. I will link those somewhere along the line, probably at the end of this podcast, because unfortunately today is not a hee hee kiki kind of podcast. It's just not that today. We are still going to smoke because I'm probably going to need to in order to get through this long ass essay that I wrote on this case, or at least this part of the case, but either way. So if you're listening to me through any device, I can presume you don't live under a rock and you know exactly what I'm going to go on about today. And if you don't, or haven't gotten the full scope of the current goings on, I'm here to help. So let's set the scene. It's the late 90s and into the early 2000s. Rap and hip hop is in its prime. There are many prominent names in the music industry, but there's one man that continues to keep himself relevant despite the countless accusations and scandals in his wake. Sean Combs, also known by P. Diddy, Brother Love, Puffy, Puff Daddy, and many more names that I even care to mention. Too many fucking names. Anyway, between two rappers gunned down in their prime, one being an opposing artist and another being the artist under his tutelage, shady business deals, shitty security protocols resulting in the loss of 9 lives, nightclub shootings, and much more that I'm sure is still to come to light. This disgraced mogul has seen his fair share of scandal. None of those prior scandals amount to the current pending federal charges brought against Sean Combs in the year of our Lord 2024. Today, we will discuss the civil suit that opened the floodgates, Cassandra Ventura versus Sean Puffy Combs. Now, I've partaken in so many internet deep dives and I've consumed so much media surrounding the case. I do not deem myself an expert, but I do have firsthand experience and knowledge of what men like Sean Combs are capable of. Sexual assault and domestic abuse is not an easy topic for me to cover. I do hope seeing Cassie's and other victims' gut-wrenching experience on paper will give other survivors hope and a hunger for justice against their abusers. And if you didn't know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I think this case is as good as any to raise awareness to what has become a problem in more homes than you would think, including those that seem to live the charmed life. With this being said, there is a heavy trigger warning effective after this point, as we will be discussing sensitive topics, including but not limited to physical abuse, mental and verbal abuse, sexual assault, sex trafficking, and arson. If this episode is not for you, we will see you in the next one, or you can check out the Higher Intentions, High Crew Review, any of those other podcasts that I'm on. You can go check those out. In the meantime, until the next episode. The coverage of this ongoing case will feature actual notes taken by myself during my own research of the lawsuit of Cassandra versus Sean Combs. All parties are innocent until proven guilty. All crimes are alleged, and all views regarding the topic are mine alone. Let's start from the beginning of the end. Now, when I first heard about this lawsuit, I was getting ready for work as I had any other day, and at this point, the lawsuit had already been settled out of court, and as a survivor myself, I sympathized with Cassie deeply. I also really liked her growing up. Not that I had any business listening to her breakout single Me and You at that age, but I digress. The pages of that lawsuit read like something out of a hellish nightmare of the most unimaginable abuse. Before I go any further, I'm gonna get out the proxy really quick. I didn't load it prior to this, so forgive me, but I'm gonna load this and read this as I go along. So, The beginning of the lawsuit starts with establishing Sean Combs as a very wealthy and tremendously powerful name in the music industry. He has so many accolades to go over in his nearly 4-decade-long career. But in this lawsuit, in the very beginning, they mention his acceptance speech when he was at the BET Music Awards and he received the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is pretty ironic now at this point. But at the end of the speech, he speaks in regards to Cassie, thanking her for holding him down. With the knowledge we now have now and the disturbing footage of Cassie being beaten viciously in the hallway of a hotel at the hands of Sean Combs, obtained by CNN, most women will see that moment during that speech, seemingly lovingly thanking his woman, was just another way to assert his complete dominance and control over her life, therefore making her feel powerless and unable to escape. While Cassie put on the facade of a beloved friend and confidant to Sean Combs, she was in reality hiding a world of trauma beyond some people's comprehension. Physical, mental, and verbal abuse, sexual assault, arson fueled by a jealous rage, and much more abhorrent behavior would follow Sean Combs wherever he went. Wherever he ended up, he always seemed to make sure that he would have access to copious amounts of illegal substances, alcohol, and adult items to last the entire duration of these parties, and then some. Now, I will be referring to him here on out as the Diddler because it brings me a little bit of joy in this fucked up situation. It makes me laugh because he really was such a prominent name in the industry, and now he's completely, for lack of a better way to put it, fucked himself. So, Diddler at this point would refer to these drug-fueled exploitative parties as freak-offs, or FOs, wherein he would charge his staff with many tasks, including procuring sex workers, illicit substances, cash in large sums for the payment of aforementioned sex workers, vast amounts of baby oil, literally over the thousands, Astroglide, which is an intimate lubricant, if you aren't aware, and an ungodly amount of sex toys of all sorts. This lawsuit establishes the telltale pattern of most abusers. Just because he's rich doesn't make him any different than any other malicious abuser in the world. In fact, this usually makes them much worse when they have the resources to silence those aware of the abuse. So, Diddler gets his hooks in Cassie at the devastatingly young age of 19, gaining control of her career, her personal life, and everything in between. He begins to get her heavily addicted to drugs and alcohol, introducing her to the party lifestyle. He exerted control in every aspect of her life, and it wasn't too soon after their status as a couple being cemented in Hollyweird that the abuse began. And yes, I called it Hollyweird. You heard that correctly. During the freak-offs, Diddler would oftentimes, if not always, be seen pleasuring himself, which is disgusting, while recording these encounters, taking part in set encounters, and also instructing Cassie and the hired sex workers in what to say and do during these FOs. Oftentimes, there'd be IV fluids brought in after these arranged FOs to help bring those involved back to a semblance of normalcy after days of drug abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse. I don't know if you guys can hear me taking my dab, but I just did because, bitch, it's about to get not nice in here. And I needed some Mary Jane to bring me back down. So, with that being said, during these and after these FOs, he would tend to get violent. And the main target of his aggression always was Cassie, resulting in bruises, black eyes, and blood-soaked garments tossed in the trash to be replaced with new designer clothes in a feeble attempt to make up for the egregious behavior at his hands. Many times, Cassie would be holed up in expensive hotels all over the country to nurse her wounds, away from the scrutiny of the public eye. Cassie would do everything in her power to delete the videos recorded during FOs, but would be told many times that her attempts would be futile due to the fact that the Diddler had several copies of multiple encounters unbeknownst to her. On one occasion, Cassie was on a plane and Diddler was watching an explicit video that Cassie thought she deleted. She was then made aware that her abuser was able to retrieve the deleted footage, which that is like in and of itself despicable. Like, I mean, this poor woman is literally trying her best to get the hell out of there. And anybody who's been in a domestic abuse relationship knows that, like, once they have their hooks in you, it is extremely hard to get out. So eventually, in around 2012, she becomes friends with a rapper that we all know and actually is one of my favorite rappers, Kid Cudi. And Kid Cudi and Cassie begin this relationship, and the diddler finds out about it. Now, I'm sure you can assume that this did not end well for any party involved besides, well, really Diddy at that point, because he was so jealous and so possessive that he literally had Kid Cudi's car exploded with an incendiary device. Like, how fucking crazy do you have to be to actually blow somebody's car up because the woman you're abusing wanted to get away? What? But so Kid Cudi literally confirmed that this happened, and I'm pretty sure it was in Vanity Affair. Yeah, Vanity Affair, that's what I put here. So in Vanity Affair, he literally did an article with them, and he literally talks about the fact that his car was most certainly exploded outside of his home with an incendiary device. And he didn't give any like inkling as to who did it, but there's many moments and many corroborated experiences where the diddler has done things of this nature or even worse, which, I mean, at that point, you don't really have plausible deniability anymore, do you? Like, you clearly are about doing all of this crazy shit, and you threatened to have his car exploded while he was watching and while his friends were present, and you wanted him to see this, and then all of a sudden his car is literally on fire in his driveway, his Porsche. Now correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's technically Porsche or Porsche. Some people say it's one the other way, Portia, but my brain won't let me pronounce it that way. I'm sorry. But so excuse me. The case was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, and I can't blame Cassie for doing so. Most survivors aren't willing to rehash the trauma that comes with reliving their assault in grueling detail in front of a courtroom of strangers. I mean, it can take some woman years or even lifetimes to overcome that mental and emotional damage of facing harms at the hands of someone that claims to love you and protect you. It's a different kind of torture entirely. Myself personally, it's not that I won't say that like I didn't enjoy his music, and by his I mean the diddler. I won't say that like the red flags were obvious, and for most of us they weren't. Now obviously there are some celebrities who have like literally been throwing flags on the play constantly whenever Diddy is involved. 50 Cent, Cat Williams, people like them. Like, I mean, there have been so many celebrities who have come out and said just questionable things about Sean Combs. I mean, like, I sit here and think about like some of the videos now with like, obviously hindsight is 2020. Like, I've seen so many different videos of Cassie and Sean Combs at different like the Met Gala, or like just random different like engagements within Hollywood and within the music industry. And now with all of this information at our disposal, like, I recognize an abused woman when I see one, and I almost like kind of kick myself in the ass for not like recognizing it sooner with this situation. Not that like I could have done anything to stop it or I have any power to do anything to stop it, but most women who have been in a situation like that never say anything, and when someone finally does come up and be like, "Hey, I noticed X, Y, and Z, and these things don't look right. Are you safe? Are you okay?" I'm not saying all women will come clean and admit that no, they're not safe and no, they're not okay, but some do. And I don't really know what Cassie's mental state was at that point in time. Um, I can't imagine that it was anything that any of us could begin to understand or compartmentalize in any way. Going through the things that she went through at the hands of the man that she literally put her career, her life, her everything into this man. And what does he do? He beats the absolute mess out of her in an LA hotel. He traffics her all over the country, and to be fair, we don't even know how far this goes along. I mean, this could literally be like a worldwide thing, that he could have been taking this poor woman everywhere, and he probably was. We'll never know, obviously, the full extent of everything, because as I said, this is a settled lawsuit. But the implications, based on the type of person we know Sean Combs to be, the diddler, the type of person that, like, the people that he hangs around with, the influence he has, the literal, just like, unchallenged power. Because really, to be fair, like, there's not very many people in the music industry that are as big of a name as P. Diddy, the diddler. It's just, there's very few. And to be fair, the two people who probably would have surpassed him in his lifetime are now both dead. So you guys do with that information what you will. But I know my thoughts on it, and I don't think that Diddy and Pac, or Biggie and Pac, were shot in like some, like, this isn't a connected type of thing. No, this is most certainly connected, at least in my humble opinion. And I do firmly believe that the diddler had something to do with the both of them. And we've gotten confirmation, at least for Pac, on that end of, like, there's definitely, like, somebody paid for the hit, and that somebody is alleged to be the diddler. And I don't necessarily know if he's going to face charges for that in the future, but based on all the coverage that I have seen of every case going on currently against him, and in case you guys weren't aware, can you just take a wild guess of what the number is we're up to right now for accusations and actual, like, civil suits against Diddy right now for sex trafficking? 120. 120. Do you know how young the youngest victim is? 9 years old. 9 years old. Everybody on this podcast, everybody who listens to my podcast knows I'm a mother. My daughter will be 8. The fact that there is a 9-year-old alleging accusations against this man and against the people in his camp literally makes me sick to my fucking stomach. Like, if I owned anything relatively related to the diddler, I would be in my backyard having a fucking bonfire. Now, I know that's like, oh, well, you still bought it all those years ago. He still got your money. Okay, fine, whatever. Sue me. Hindsight's 2020. I'm sorry. I wish I would have seen it, because if I would have seen it back in the day, I can guarantee you I wouldn't have listened to not a single fucking thing that the diddler ever released. I just wouldn't. But I don't know. I guess the symbolism and having that, cathartic bonfire full of Diddy merchandise, it gives me a warm feeling inside my heart. It gives me the warm fuzzies. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, he might have gotten some money, cool, whatever. But he's going to lose all of his money paying for his giant defense team, which, take this with a grain of salt, make of it what you will, but he has, let me Google it to make sure I'm actually, forgive me, you guys know I love my Google. I have to make sure that I am actually wording this properly, but I'm pretty sure he has one of the best, um, one of the best, what the hell is it called? Death penalty lawyers. in the country on his case right now. So if he has one of the best death penalty lawyers on his side right now, does he think he's going to get the death penalty? Is that an option? Is that even an option in California? Because it's not in New York. I should have looked this up prior to, but that's besides the point. That's why I have two computers in front of me. No. So, no death penalty in Cali. But there are cases in other states, allegedly. So, I mean, depending on where his charges fall and what the worst charges are, which, I mean, one can only assume if there's a 9-year-old little girl involved in this, that the charges have to be pretty fucking bad. And I think some of them are out of Texas as well, and I'm pretty sure that Texas definitely has the death penalty. Yep, definitely has the death penalty. And their most recent execution was like literally 3 days ago. So, I don't know. Just putting it out there for you guys that genuinely his defense team is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my day and age, like in the year of our Lord. But to have a death penalty lawyer on your case, and like you're not even in a state that has the death penalty, because California doesn't have the death penalty, New York doesn't have the death penalty. You're looking a little sus here, buddy. Like, I'm sorry. You're going to tell me that you're worried about the death penalty when you're being charged in California and New York, two places that have not used the death penalty in quite some time. That would lead me to believe that you have some kind of knowledge of something else illegal that you've done somewhere else in the country that does, in fact, have the death penalty. Which, to be fair, like 80% of the southernmost part of our country definitely has the death penalty. That much I know for a fact. Anyway, this lawsuit does a very good job of outlining what an abusive relationship looks like. I will say that like I'm reading Cassie's lawsuit absolutely broke my heart. Seeing that footage of her literally being beaten to a pulp in the middle of a elevator bay, that's the type of stuff that people who have gone through traumatic experiences of that nature and sometimes worse, any type of abuse, that is the type of stuff that sets us off into like a PTSD moment. And I won't lie to you guys, like it definitely is one of those things where like I watched about 2 to 5 seconds of that video, and it was just the main clip of him literally like running at her, and I felt my heart sink because I knew exactly what was coming. I knew exactly what was happening. I didn't even have to watch the video that far to know that if I watched it any further, I was probably going to have to like go lock myself in a room for a day and fucking compartmentalize what I just watched. Not because of any other fact than just the fact that when you have PTSD and you watch someone go through something similar to what you went through, it's a very triggering experience. And literally, like the very first page of Cassie's lawsuit, there's a huge trigger warning in red. Like literally, red ink right on there. This document is extremely triggering, and if you've suffered abuse, do not read it or seek help or whatever. I forget exactly what they said for their trigger warning, but like literally, I saw that when I opened up the PDF file to like read and take my notes on it. And I just kind of like put my head in my hands and I was like, okay, I know that going into this that like I'm going to be covering something that is not going to sit right with me and is probably going to make me really angry. So I took that with what I like, everything that I know about domestic violence, everything that I've seen family members, loved ones, myself go through, with an abusive partner, and all I could do was just feel the like utmost just sorrow in my heart for this poor girl. Obviously, I don't fucking know Cassie. But when I saw him run down that hallway at her, I saw every woman in my life that has ever been in an abusive relationship standing in her place. And that's insanely triggering for someone like me. Not only do I have experience, my own personal experiences that I won't get into, but I've been friends with so many women who have been victims of domestic abuse, and I've been friends with so many women who've lost their life due to domestic abuse. And it's not as talked about as it should be. And I figure, it's October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Yes, it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, save the boobies, all that good stuff. But I do think that domestic violence awareness at that point, kind of, not that it gets brushed under the rug, but it's not as big of a talking point for people, because nobody wants to talk about that. And I get it. I don't want to fucking talk about this. Do you think I want to talk about this shit, guys? Because if I could do my podcast on like sunshine and rainbows and lollipops, I would. No, I wouldn't. I'm fucking lying. But that's besides the point. This is the last true crime case I want to cover. Did I decide to cover it anyway? Yeah. But not because I'm like, oh, this is funny. Like, no, this is fucking disgusting. This is disgusting. And the fact that it's been going on for so long, not just with Cassie, but allegedly with his other women in the past. I mean, like, we're gonna get into that in another episode, so I'm not gonna like go full speed right now. But the pattern of abuse is very clearly there. Like, when you actually dissect and look at everything, it's very obvious. And it makes me sad that so many people for so long were so dismissive and just let him get away with quite literally fucking murder. Like, it's deplorable. Now, obviously, with all this being said, I pray that Cassie is able to move on after this, and especially after all of these new cases coming up. I truly hope she's finding her peace and that this isn't triggering her in the way that I know it would trigger me. I can't imagine what she's going through right now and what her family is going through, because she does have, I believe now, two young children since leaving the diddler. And I'm so happy that she's gotten her life back together, and she's gotten herself off of drugs that the diddler got her addicted to, and she's making a better life for herself. And I'm so happy to see that, and we need to see more of that in this unfortunate community. You don't want to be a part of this club. Like, it's just not what you want. You do not want to be part of the club of women that know what it is to be brutalized and just attacked viciously by the person who is supposed to protect you, the person who's supposed to love you. But I digress. I truly hope that Cassie is finding her peace and maintaining her mental health during this time. I really hope she is doing well, and I wish her nothing but the best with her and her new man and her children. To anybody that is listening to this, if you or someone you know or someone you love has been in a DV relationship, anything of that nature, know that you are not alone. You are not alone. It's been 4 years for me now, since almost 4 years now, since leaving my abuser. And I will say to you that it gets easier. Things don't become as triggering anymore, and you can talk about your experiences and not feel that impending watching over my shoulder. You can talk about your experiences a little bit more freely and discuss the emotions tied to that. But I just want to make it known that you are not alone, and my podcast, my inbox, wherever the fuck you might find me, is a safe space. I will never judge you. I will never reprimand you. I will never make you feel less than because of your situation. And if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. I'm here. I got you. No matter who you are. Now, we've discussed all of the nitty-gritty. I like I said, I wanted to get super deep into this case, and don't get me wrong, like I read every page. I read every sentence. I took the most detailed notes that I possibly could. But for somebody who has been through an experience like this or similar, anyone will tell you that reading this document is extremely triggering. And to be quite honest, I don't want to give his abuse any more light. I don't want that to get the attention. I don't want his misdeeds and his wrongdoings and his deplorable actions to be in the limelight, which I know they will be over however long this case is going to take to be resolved, because the case is still ongoing. And like, I mean, all the civil charges, I mean, Cassie's has been settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, and I will always say this, no amount will ever give you back what you lose after something like this. But I also cannot condemn Cassie for not wanting to share her story in front of a whole courtroom. I can't condemn her for not wanting to like relive that trauma, because guess what? I fucking didn't. I didn't do it, and I should have. Not to say that, like, I'm not going to say I kicked myself in the ass now for it. I did what I needed to do to get past my trauma from domestic violence, and I did what I needed to do, and I am healthy and I am okay. I am in a healthy relationship. I am not only with my partner, but we're also business partners. I am in probably the most honest and loving relationship that I've ever been in. So I'm so grateful for that. But I can't ignore the work that it took for me to get to this point and be accepting of that and be ready for someone to be in my life in that capacity after that time in my life. So with that being said, I commend Cassie so much for being able to work past her trauma, work past her addictions, work past all of this, because I know how hard it is, especially after a situation like that. So kudos to her. I can't say it enough. I really hope that she is keeping herself healthy during this time and keeping her mental health well. And anyone who has been affected by this lawsuit, I truly hope that they're taking care of themselves. And you should, if you are the praying type or if you are the candle lighting type like myself, whatever religious hoo-ha you're into, say something for those people that are suffering right now because of these civil suits and this federal suit that's currently underway, because I can guarantee you, yeah, they could be very famous names that are going to come out eventually, especially if this federal case goes to court and we get into discovery and all that, because once we get into discovery, it's a fucking wrap. It's a fucking wrap. And all of the shit that they found on those hard drives in that house during the raids, or actually, I should say houses during the raids, all of that shit is going to come to light. And not only is the diddler going to fall, but I have a strong feeling that a lot of Hollyweird, whatever you want to call it, is going to be on a downward incline after this. It's going to be absolute fucking madness. I really hope that nobody that I personally support as a celebrity is on these tapes. Am I expecting to see them? I'm a realist above all, so yeah, I'm expecting to see some people I did not want to see at those parties. I'm expecting it. Hollywoods a fucking disgusting place, and when I was a kid, I always was like, I want to be a Disney Channel kid. I want to be like famous. No, oh my fucking God, thank God that that did not happen, because after between um I haven't even had a chance to discuss this, but the Quiet on the Set documentary to now and the shit that we're seeing with Diddy, like Usher is allegedly a fucking victim. Justin Bieber is allegedly a victim. These people that for like the generation directly after myself and even a lot of people in my generation, like these people are people that like they fucking look up to, they love. And they've gone through so much trauma because of one singular fucking man. One singular, deplorable, disgusting waste of space. That is the best way I can describe him. Waste of fucking space. There were so many other people that I would trade Biggie for him in a heartbeat. In a fucking heartbeat. I'd trade Pac for him in a heartbeat. I'd trade fucking damn near anybody. Like, this man is literally fucking disgusting, and now he's sitting in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. And if you didn't know, this is the same place where Epstein was held. I, I don't know how I feel about that. It just doesn't sit right. I have a very high suspicion that he's going to be diddled. And I mean, also, he's R. Kelly is like literally still there right now. Like, so I'm just kind of a mad. Like, I'm gonna make a joke. I'm gonna be an asshole. I'm so sorry. This is not to make light of the situation, but I have to make myself laugh. I'm pretty sure the prison talent shows are gonna be really lit. I'm sorry, it's not to make light of the victims or anything, but if you have listened to this podcast before, if you know me, you know the number one way I get through shit is with a little giggle, a little jokey joke. I'm always gonna make a little jokey joke. I'm sorry. Don't cancel me. I've said I've said it so many times. I'm just praying for these victims and just hoping that they are keeping themselves safe and keeping themselves well mentally, because I know that from here on out it's going to get a lot worse. So, will the diddler get Epsteined? Perhaps. Perhaps. I'm going to put my money on yes. If there's a 2024 bingo board, that's my like star center. Diddy's going to get Epsteined. And if it doesn't happen before the new year, it's gonna fucking happen. It's gonna happen. I don't wish death on anybody. I do not wish suicide on anybody. But I don't feel bad in wishing that this man literally just fall off of the face of the earth. I don't feel bad. What is he contributing to society? Nothing. Nothing except for fucking abuse. And as a society, we have to stop supporting people like that. We have to stop just letting these people get away with shit like that and thinking that everything's okay. And don't get me wrong, I know that they all have money, they all have power that we don't have. But if you stop listening and you stop streaming and you stop going and giving them fucking money, guess what? They're not going to have money anymore. If you stop giving these people their support, like, okay, let's just put this into perspective really quick. Do you know what one of the number one trending sounds on Instagram Reels is right now? It's a fucking Diddy song. It's a fucking Diddy song. So you mean to tell me that y'all are out here talking about how terrible you think this man is and how awful you think he is, but then you're still using his fucking sounds on your fucking reels? No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. I posted about my coverage of this episode, and what sound did I use? I used Cassie's fucking song. Why? Because if anybody should be getting any fucking money from this god awful, literal, just like domino effect that has fallen in front of us, it should be fucking Cassie. Because guess what? At the end of the day, we don't know how much that court case was settled for, and I can guarantee you it was probably for a really big amount. Sure, cool. As somebody who's been through something like that myself, as somebody who has seen survivors go what they go through every fucking day, man, I will literally play Cassie's fucking full first album that she released from from out of Bad Boy, which I don't even think that exists. She tried. Um, I would literally stream Cassie all day, every fucking day, just to kind of stick it to the man a little bit. Cause now when a fucking Diddy song comes up in my little shuffle on Spotify, I'm immediately like, no, bad for my ears. No, the diddler, go away. And now when I listen to my favorite fucking rapper, my favorite rapper, if you did not know, is the Notorious B.I.G. Now when I listen to every one of his songs, I'm sitting there with my head in my hands like, fuck, man, I know in like 2 seconds Diddy's dumbass is gonna pop up and he's gonna make this whole fucking situation weird. So now, because of this, I can't even listen to some of my favorite fucking songs. Like, what? That sucks. Like, you ruined music for me, asshole. You ruined music. You ruined fucking Get Him to the Greek. Let's just point out though that like the Get Him to the Greek, like his role as, I don't remember what his name was. I think it was like Sergio or some shit. But he played a record executive, and like literally that whole part for him literally should have just been a red fucking flag from the jump. Because when the world gives you a Jeffrey and you stroke the furry wall and all that other shit, and there was the one part of the movie where he's talking to Jonah Hill and he's like talking about putting the drugs up his ass, and like it's everything that I see now, I'm just like, wow, Terry, why didn't you catch that sooner? That was really bad. Like, I saw clips from Get Him to the Greek like recently. I don't remember where it was, maybe on TikTok, probably TikTok. And I literally was just like, oh my God, this was so bad and nobody caught on. And then I'm sitting there for a second, I'm like, shit, I didn't even catch on. I loved this movie. Now I hate it. Great. Thank you. So, for now, I think that about covers it for my coverage of this currently ongoing case. Now, I know I said like the federal case is ongoing and the civil suit has been settled out of court, at least for Cassie. But let us not forget about the literal 120 victims waiting in the wings. Because he's going to have to go through federal proceedings. And then guess what? It's going to be another one, right after another one. It's just going to it's going to be really bad. Unless he somehow pulls it off, which, unfortunately, I know this is not out of the realm of possibility. He could very easily pull off getting out of this fucking scot-free. And that's sickening. Now, if that does happen, who am I to say that it's not in by way of like him giving up a bigger name? But at the end of the day, him giving up a bigger name, a bigger criminal than him, is only going to lead to more questions, first and foremost. And it's not going to give these victims the justice and the closure that they fucking deserve. Because guess what? You can go after the people at the top all you want, those people, those big wigs with all the money and all the power and all the respect in the world to be able to do whatever the fuck they want. But until they are charged and see the consequences for their wrongdoings, we're not going to get fucking anywhere. Guess what? I'm still going to be sitting here covering cases like this. And it is literally the last thing I want to use my platform for. I don't want to use my platform to talk about the fact that women are in relationships where they are literally being abused day in and day out, not just physically, but mentally, verbally, all the way the fuck around. Financially, like, there are so many different ways you can abuse a person. And this poor girl went through it all. And to sit here and think that Cassie, I cannot remember her name at the moment, but the woman who had the civil suit against him from Syracuse University, saying that he and another famous person, not like super famous, I would say more like D-list, but that's beside the point. We're going to talk about that in a separate video. I say this because I'm so used to recording for Higher Intentions now, and that's a video podcast where you actually get to see my face, because I know I don't do that for you guys normally. But in this episode, I'm not going to get super deep into the rest of the civil suits, and that includes the suit against, like I said, please forgive me, I do not remember the woman's name from Syracuse University right now, but then there's the other pending civil suit right now, and that's going it was Lil Rod is his name, and he was a producer, and he helped produce Diddy's Love album, and he's seen some shit, man. Seen some shit, went through some shit. Cuba Gooding Jr. is involved, but Cuba Gooding Jr. has always seemed really weird to me, but that's besides the point. If you guys hear stuff in the background, just so you know, I'm recording in my lovely home away from home, Higher Intentions, and Tropes in the background throwing shit around. So, but anyways, final thoughts on everything and on this case, and I guess I'll finish this dab because that should probably be a thing. I do think that this being the beginning of the end is almost poetic in a way. I mean, think about it. He proclaims to be brother love and for the love and the betterment of the community and the people and blah 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 blah. Bitch where? Bitch where? Because on the pages in this lawsuit and on the pages in every other fucking lawsuit I've read, on every fucking blind item that's posted on the fucking AMAs on Reddit and all that other shit, I do not see a man that is for the love of the culture and the love of the people and community and blah, 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 blah. I do not see that. And I can guarantee you anybody who reads any of these court proceedings also will not see that. Instead, what I see is a power-hungry, vindictive, jealous, manipulative, deplorable waste of fucking space excuse of a human being. And the fact that, like, it's a very high probability he's going to get away with this is disgusting. I genuinely hope that in the next episode that I do on the Diddler Files, that I'm coming back to tell you guys that, like, they done got him. They got the Diddler. But I have a feeling that that's just not going to be the case. So, next time, I guess join me for another deep dive into the following civil suits against the Diddler, and just kind of, ooh, shit. I bumped into something, guys, sorry. But I guess from there we'll go on and kind of give you guys a little update, talk about where the case is currently, whether we're talking about civilly, doesn't matter. We'll get into all of that on the next episode. And I don't know. I guess that's all I have for now. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's about all. But before I go, just a quick little reminder, if you guys want to hear more rantings, ravings, ramblings, you can always check out the podcast that I co-host with the boys down at Higher Intentions. So I'll hold on because I'm so bad at this. I'm so out of practice. God damn it. This is why we can't have nice things, guys, because I record 3 episodes and then I come back 6 months later like, "Hi, did you miss me?" Let me read off the YouTube channels. So, if you're gonna go look up Higher Intentions on YouTube, you can literally go look up Higher Intentions I, or you can also look up High Crew Review, literally spelled HI Crew Review, or you can look up High Friends in the Wild. There are 3 different channels for Higher Intentions for you to get all of the fun stuff. There is the review channel, that is our 21 plus channel, which is kind of similar to how I have my stuff modeled. However, we just kind of review stuff and don't really smoke the whole time. And here I am just getting fucking stoned off my gourd and fucking having a grand old time. Other than that though, yes, and join me for my next episode, which is going to be a little mashup collaboration episode, and it's going to be me and the guys from Higher Intentions. So just think 3 potheads sitting around a table getting real high and talking about bullshit, because that's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a session. I haven't said it in so long. I fucked it up. God damn it. Session-sode. Yeah, it's a session-sode, guys. Woo. I wonder if that picks up in the audio. For context, Trope and I are getting ready for tomorrow's event, which, if you are free and in the Rochester area, you can come to 4348 Culver Road during the hours of 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. and you can come see your favorite hostess with the mostest and get a little free dabberoonie. I'm gonna have local vendors here, gonna have some food set up, gonna have a little bit of everything. So it's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a good time. So if you're local, come check it out. If not, check out the High Friends, High Crew Review, Higher Intentions YouTube channels. But yeah, I think that actually covers it for tonight. I was actually kind of worried that I wasn't gonna have enough to say without like getting choked up and like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to cover this. But I held my composure, and I'm really proud of myself. So, with all that being said, until next time, friends, I'm your hostess with the mostest that always gets the stonedest, and I will see you later. Bye!